Bumblebees are going extinct in a time of climate chaos. New research using a massive dataset found that the insects are far less common than they used to be. In North America, you are nearly 50% less likely to see a bumblebee in any given area than you were prior to 1974.
Here's a summary of the article.
In a new paper published this week in the journal Science, researchers used a complex modeling process to suggest that their decline is driven in large part by climate change. Specifically, the scientists found that in areas that have become hotter in the last generation, or have experienced more extreme temperature swings, bumblebees are less abundant. Bumblebees only live 1 year at most, and queens often spend the winter in leaf litter or in the ground. As these plants are then used by myriad other organisms, the decline of bumblebees can have cascading ecological effects that may collectively cause biodiversity loss. Climate change is not the only factor behind the insect's decline. Jamie Strange, chair of the entomology department at Ohio State University, says that focusing on climate change could be problematic, because it ignores the many other causes of decline. Among the easiest are bee-friendly yard practices like planting native flowers that bumblebees can feed on, and avoiding the use of pesticides like neonicotinoids.
This post received a score of 25,968, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I barely see any insects flying around anymore compared to my childhood. I remember seeing butterflies quite often, but now I don't even remember the last time I've seen one. Sad face.
I bought a few milkweed plants and put them in my backyard. I was amazed that they found it so quick and laid eggs. Before I knew it, I had 30 caterpillars on my plants. I think we need an effort like we had during World War II victory gardens, but instead of food for us we plant food for pollinators.
We stopped using weed killer and insecticides on our yard about a decade ago, even though we live in an Hoa neighborhood. We have a lawn that is mostly dandelions, chickweed, native scallions, and other wildflowers. It is full of worms and other goodies for the birds to eat. When it rains, we are the only yard around covered in an absolute carpet of birds.
I hear ya. I still see bees from time to time. I have a fairly large yard and have been debating about putting a beehive box in the far corner of my yard. I know they are fairly docile, but that amount of bees might upset neighbors and make it less likely for my wife to enjoy our yard for fear of a sting.
Just aim for other pollinators. There are plenty of moths, butterflies, non-swarming bees, and other flying insects.
I used to see a lot of what I've heard called sweat bees in the last few years, as bigger bees got fewer and farther between. But even those little guys are disappearing. Fewer ladybugs, too.
Just grow roses if you want to see ladybugs. Aphids love them and ladybugs love aphids.
Quit using poison everywhere, assholes. Yep, that way we can rely on native pollinators instead of the introduced honeybee that kills them.
Entire native ecosystems need to be rebuilt, not just the parts that benefit us. That kind of thinking is exactly what created this crisis.
What kind of thinking?
Sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, but you seem to imply that the ecological crisis would be fixed if we just had more native pollinators. But those come as part and parcel of the whole native ecosystem. It's not sustainable to rely on them without giving them something to rely on. The kind of thinking that separates the biosphere into individual resources to be used by us alone is what I'm talking about again. Sorry if you meant something different.
Hey, definitely didn't mean to imply that. I am an environmental scientist, and they really drilled into us that if the answer is not, it depends, you are not thinking things right. Complex systems can't be guided by simple measures. You have to constantly reevaluate and adapt your plans and their results to even approximate the desired outcomes.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.